tears, toys, and a second chance. This is the story of Smokey, a dog who was on the verge of being euthanized. But then, a beautiful twist of fate took an unexpected turn. Once upon a time, there lived a dog named Smokey. He came into the life of this human when he was just a tiny pup. With a big backyard to run around in and a bunch of stuffed animals to chase, Smokey's days were filled with furry fun. And you know what? Among all those toys, there was this one special toy. A little gray elephant with cute pink ears. This elephant became his ultimate sidekick, his buddy through thick and thin. Whenever it was time for a walk or a nice nap, you'd always find Smokey with that elephant, like they shared some kind of secret pact. And here's the sweet part. Despite being a big old dog, he handled that toy like it was made of glass. He could have torn it apart in a heartbeat, but he treated it with so much gentleness and care. Ever since he was a tiny pup, Smokey soaked up all the love and care in his cozy home, a place where happiness and affection were in full bloom. But we all know life can turn upside down in a matter of seconds. When Smokey hit the age of 5, things took a turn. His owner hit a rough patch, lost his job, and tough times dimmed their once beautiful life. They did their best to make sure Smokey had his meals, but then they had to say goodbye to their roomy place and moved into a cramped apartment. Smokey's owner started looking everywhere for a new home for him, but sadly, this big old pup wasn't the easiest to place. Their friends just didn't have enough space for a dog of his size. They did pull out all the stops though, trying to find someone who could look after Smokey. But then, on a heartbreaking Valentine's Day, reality slapped them in the face. So with heavy hearts, they made the gut-wrenching choice. They brought him to a shelter. And with him, they held on to the last shreds of comfort by leaving him with his trusty stuffed elephant. It was a decision that shattered his owner's heart. But it wasn't a walk in the park for Smokey either. Imagine not understanding what went wrong and missing the family you've known for 5 whole years. He was used to a home filled with attention, and now he found himself stuck in a little enclosure, clutching his toy for dear life. The poor boy must have been wondering all of the time, where did my mom and dad go? The thing about dogs is that their human family is all they have. Once they're gone, what do these loving creatures have left? Volunteers at the shelter did their best to shower him with care, but the tornado of changes had left him with a bad case of anxiety. He got shy. The sparkle to play just vanished, and his only comfort was that stuffed toy that never left his side. Anytime someone would enter his kennel, he'd start whimpering and barking because he was just so traumatized. It was a poor boy. Even worse was that this shelter was in a tough spot too. They were juggling more animals than they had room for, and the clock was ticking. They had to find homes for these furballs ASAP, because their space and funds had limits. And for Smokey and his elephant buddy, time was of the essence. Not long after arriving at the shelter, they put Smokey up for adoption. He was a real cutie, and his stuffed toy was part of the package, peeking out from his adorable little mouth. Despite his shyness, the shelter figured he'd find a home easily. After all, he was used to the family life and cozy homes. But as it turned out, things weren't that simple. Once Smokey's adoption announcement hit, people started coming around to see if they'd connect with this adorable dog. His photos, along with his trusted elephant, got loads of attention, and folks were eager to meet him. Come on now, who wouldn't want to come see this adorable boy? But here's where that twist comes in. Smokey's anxiety started to complicate things. Each time a potential family showed up, he'd run off into a corner, terrified. And if they dared to approach him, he'd start growling. The theory was that he thought they might take away his favorite toy. But honestly, it didn't matter. The outcome was the same, a negative impression. Who would want to adopt a dog that made them so nervous? Most families weren't prepared to handle a dog with such overwhelming anxiety. Of course, there are families with kids and maybe even other pets, so bringing a dog with Smokey's condition would kind of make things difficult at home. This tricky situation put the shelter in a tight spot. His growing signs of aggression led them to sadly remove him from the adoption list. It was like signing a death sentence. They couldn't keep a dog that was unadoptable. A deadline for euthanasia hung slowly over Smokey. Yet, this wasn't a story about giving up. The shelter held on to hope, actively searching for other shelters that might help find Smokey a foster family. A place where experienced folks could offer him the chance he needed and deserved. They believe he'd do much better outside the shelter environment, away from the stress of so many other dogs. And despite his anxious exterior, everyone knew that deep down inside, Smokey was the most loving dog. This was truly a tough situation. The shelter understood that if they could relocate Smokey to a calmer atmosphere, they might have a chance at offering him for adoption again. Time was ticking though, and he didn't have much of it left. But remember when we said in the beginning that a beautiful twist was about to change Smokey's life forever? Right when all hopes were about to be lost, the folks at I Have a Dream Rescue organization heard about Smokey and stepped in. They had a bit more to offer, including experienced foster parents to care for a dog with special needs. They reached out to their foster families, ensuring they understood that they weren't just taking in a dog, but also a loved stuffed elephant. Luckily, they found a family thrilled to embrace Smokey and his adorable little quirks, despite his behavioral challenges. Misty Martin Fuller, a founder of the organization, explained that their aim was to ensure Smokey had a place to belong. Deadlines weren't on their agenda. Whether a forever home or a forever foster, they were fully committed to his well-being. Good people still do exist. They broke the news to Smokey that he was coming home with them, and his happy smile marked a moment of hope. Smokey's journey to his foster family wasn't without its bumps, but what unfolded was truly shocking. From a sad dog confined to one corner with his stuffed elephant as his only company, he transformed into a cheerful boy. His whole attitude shifted. The stress of the unfamiliar vanished, allowing him to embrace a new and beautiful reality. He began engaging with his foster family, even setting his precious elephant to the side for a little playtime with other toys. Though his favorite comfort was still there at bedtime, he no longer clung to it all day long. But then unexpectedly, the organization decided Smokey was ready to find a home once more. But before moving ahead, they wanted to offer his original family a chance to take him back. Despite their love, circumstances hadn't improved for them. The family deeply cared for Smokey and obviously wasn't to blame for losing him. Though they couldn't take him back, they wished him a brighter future. Smokey's popularity on social media brought attention to shelter pups in general, raising interest from potential adoptive families all over the country. And so, with his trusty elephant right there by his side, Smokey set off on a brand new adventure to his new home. His excitement and playfulness were contagious, making him seem like a young pup all over again. It was a true testament to the power of love, how it can work its enchanting magic and completely transform a life. Smokey's story is a shining example of this incredible journey of change and hope, and we're sure you guys shed a few tears while watching. Now before we wrap up, here's a question for you. Have you ever had a furry friend who taught you about resilience and second chances? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If Smokey's tale touched your heart like it did ours, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more heartwarming stories. Until next time.